So this endless adventure started up here with a lot of pounding and penetrating oil and heat and all sorts of tools and holes for leverage, and it did not work, and it ended up having to be cut off from below. So the offending piece is now out of its position, and it is laying inside the anchor locker, the chain locker. Tiny, tight little spot that my 6-foot-tall husband was wedged into. When these things are new, they just slide right through. This piece just slides right through the hole and you bolt it in place and everything's wonderful. But that happened in 1980. And now in 2022, it's a little bit harder to get out. All right, could you tell me that again when I said and down it goes? Why can't it just slide down there nicely?
The top of this shaft is mushroomed a little. So I'm gonna have to bring it back up a couple of inches, cut that off, and then I can drive it down.
And instead of having to cut, he was able to pull it right up. There, I thought you were completely done. Not so much, huh?
I may have to cut that plate off down there. I'm not sure yet. Hey, can you just hold this like this so I can see if the leg is all the way down?
And we're left with this gigantic heavy brass thing. And there's still a part that needs to be removed. Good Lord, this is a teeny tiny little space. And this thing is what has to be cut off. This plate, which you can see the nice little rust right there holding everything in place. Ugh. And back he goes.
What?
Into that miserable spot to start cutting again. And as he continues to battle with that miserable piece, I'm going to work on some of my garden markers. I'm not a very good helper today. Well, not anymore. So now he's in cleanup mode. And I made 3 more signs, so I'll just heat up the wood burner and get these done before we leave. How's it going, Cap?
I'm tired.
Bet you are.
Punch through it.
We're just staying mystic, but unfortunately, working underneath the shrink wrap is like working inside of a greenhouse.
But they've been there for so long now.
And fixing the location of the cleat, it's multiple.
Is what?
Adds a lot to our project list, which is already very long.
I mean, that would be fast because, you know, you'd move it over here and then you just fill the holes. That's no big deal. Certainly, if we're going to do it, we want to do it before we paint, though. And that would give us a little bit more room to put a metal strip right here.
Yes. Safeguard.
Boy, that was quite the project.
Yes, it was.
Yep, no worries. I was just looking at the little offending piece here. After about, what was it, 3 weekends to remove this thing?
Once I decided to cut it out, then it was one day. I just didn't use the right technique, that's all.
And now that everything's taken apart, this plate has to go back on there because it appears to be structural to the pulpit. And so leaving it unreinforced until we get the new one would not be a good idea.
4 inches on the nose.
We can actually get original equipment. The company is still in business and they still make the same windlass. Of course, we're switching to chain, but if we decide to, we can go back to the Ideal Windlass Company in East Greenwich, Rhode Island.
And the cover is off. Finally. Still on the hard, still far from ready. But with the cover off, it's a little bit closer.
So after filming every single bit of getting the old one out, I completely skipped the install of the new. But there it is. And today is the day where he wires it up. We ended up with a Maxwell RC10. And once again, the cap is up to his waist in the anchor locker. So I missed the entire section where you put that in place, but I'm going to pretend I didn't and then just pick up here with you wiring.
And I have a 5-inch deck, so now I have to go down into the forepeak and see what I need for that, and then I'll cut my wires.
It is really hard to see from this angle and in here, but up in the top corner there is actually a space that goes around the outer edge of the boat, which is where all the wiring can be fed through. So we started here underneath the lower helm station, took the bathroom medicine cabinet out and slid the wires behind that up to the anchor locker thing. It's a really productive weekend. The windlass is done. Of course, the power is off right now, so I can't show it off. The teak rails have been refinished. And the soffit light in the main cabin has been replaced.
Too cool.
Ooh, and it even works from above.
Yes, smile, for God's sake. You just put the windlass on.
The chain locker door is actually in the girls' cabin. And so to make it a little bit safer, Rob's cut a couple of boards to size and slid them down into place. So the anchor chain cannot fall forward if the door is open, but he can easily remove these if he needs to access that compartment. That is another project complete. Next up, get the dinghy up onto the roof so we can decide where to position it and then install the chocks.